Good evening, friends. Hope all of you doing well. So just a second, let me share the unlisted YouTube link to all of you. Only our participants are allowed, only our students are allowed to join this class. So there is no need to on the video. We'll run with our PPT. So please give me few seconds. Okay, so just a second. I'm sharing the link in few of the groups. Those who are here, please. So I think it's shared in almost all the groups. So today we'll be talking about budget 2021. So prior to this, there I have to confirm that in last session we have discussed about the merger of RRBs and some PSBs. So let me clarify that yes, there is no such disappointment till now. If you have been to my last session, what I told in yesterday's class, that I only expect finance minister just to utter a single word about RRB merger. That was the maximum expectation we are having. As I have told in my merger video a week back, where there are more than 15,000 views now, we have told that this committee is yet to give its recommendations. So government may utter a word, but this budget has not disappointed us. You can see that this budget has clearly said that there will be strategic disinvestment and some reform policies will be held for loss making PSUs. And at this current point of time, RRBs are contributing one of the maximum losses to the Union Government of India. So there is definitely something going on. And yes, we have put these things to the board, and DFS is currently in marathon meeting for a week with all boards and all chairmen of RRBs. So you have to wait for that. You must understand how these economy policies of this country functions. I think when this merger of PSU banks happened, government did not announce it in budget. Rather, they came in a press conference to announce it. So the things are under consideration. Our sources are 1000% correct. Remember, our sources are being quoted by Business Standard, so there is nothing to worry. We give you the latest information, so don't worry about it. Yes, things are under table, and yes, if they are concerned about Ispat Nigam Limited, which is contributing maximum loss of I guess it's around less than 1000 crore, then government will definitely consider a loss making unit like RRB, which is contributing more than 2200 crore loss in last fiscal. This year I think the loss is widening. So there is nothing to change. We are happy with our sources. We are proud of that. Things are going to change in 1 or 2 months, so stay tuned. So in today's class, this investment into PSBs, what we are contemplating, that merger or some kind of disinvestment. So why things are happening, I will be clearing everything in this budget, in this class, so please stay tuned. So I think all of my students from Karnataka Gramin Bank, SBI, CBO, PNBSO, BOISO have joined so far. So let's start the session. So let's start the session. Okay. So please, let's start the session. Just give me a few seconds. Just give me a few seconds. So just give me a few seconds again. Let me share things to our esteemed students. So just a second. Okay, so yes. Okay, here comes the screen. We will go to our first ever slide. We will be covering everything that is required for your economic awareness as well. Okay, so please stay mute. Today is a very important class. I hope all of you heard Karnataka Gramin Bank Chairman Sir Joshi sir's address yesterday. It was overwhelming and it was very much inspiring for us. I am truly grateful to him that he is watching my show. So that's a great honor to me. So I cannot expect anything beyond this. So I feel that I must have done something good in my life, that I am able teach such a eloquent group of people. So I'm honored, and these people, those who have joined us in SBI CPO, are also very much talented. So I'm grateful to people around the country, students around the country, those who are joining to me. I'm very, 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 very thankful to every single person, those who have made us proud. Thank you, everyone. Yes. So this PPT, this PDF, along with all other PDFs, will be given to you from the links description. For that, kindly subscribe us, kindly join us. Join button is there. I don't waste a lot of time in appealing for subscription. It is your duty. My duty is bring to you latest study material and exclusive study material. Okay. So don't worry about it. Zoom link almost shared. You can use the YouTube link. It is only for our students. So don't worry. This is exclusively for our students. After this class, I will make this public. But till the class runs, it is only my students to interact with me. And so you can chat in YouTube, and I will be looking into the YouTube, and team, my IT team, my bankers team will be updating the answers in the chat, and I will be also addressing them. So hope everything is going on. As promised, we have added our bankers to our groups, so things are running smoothly. Thanks for having patience on patiently being with us. So let's start. We will not wait. Very, very important session. As I have mentioned that I will be also discussing what happened about disinvestment, what happened about RRBs. So why there is no mention, what is, but there is a great chance that RRBs are going to be restructured. Government has paved the way through this budget of restructuring of RRBs. If they are listening about small PSUs who are loss making, then we will make so much sound that government will definitely listen us, and things are under table, things are under discussion. So don't worry, friends. Yes, sir, voice is not audible. I think it's your audio issue. It's clear to every single one. Yes. Okay. Okay. So let's continue. The union budget is printed every year. Listen, there are something very much important happening this year. Let me talk to you. So before that, let me tell you everyone that union budget of India is released every year under the article of 112 of Indian Constitution. Under the article 112 of Indian Constitution, right? Under the use dial in button, friends. Those who are having issue on my audio, please use dial in button. Okay, please don't mute. Very, very important class. I will be covering everything possible there. Our Zoom session is full of students, and please come to those who are not having the access in group to Zooms. Tell them to join in YouTube, please, because I don't have time to watch them. So I will be giving you full information about union budget, about economy, so that in upcoming interviews, in upcoming bank exams, anything comes about budget related to economy, that will be covered. Deficit financing, deficit, fiscal deficit, primary deficit, current account deficit, balance of payment, everything, GDP, GNP, inflation, everything that is required to know this budget I will be covering. So be patient, let me run the show with my flow. So thank you, friends. Thank you, friends, for having the patience. So before that, I wanted to mention, which I have not mentioned here, under Article 112 of Indian Constitution, every year budget is being presented by Finance Minister, right? But prior to this year, every year budget was being presented in printed format. So many papers were being wasted, but government has taken right decision in right direction. There in this year, there is no paper included. Only digital format union budget has been presented. And also the tab that Miss Sitaraman is using, Madam Sitaraman is using, was India made tablet. So that's a great push to Atmanirbhar Bharat. These are strategical decisions. But it is going to have a long way in the way of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So normally it is published. The earlier budgets were published in the in-house press of Lok Sabha, involving around 100 employees of the ministry who have to stay together for almost 15 days. When this halwa ceremony starts, they start staying together until the papers are printed, sealed, and delivered on the day of the budget. The tradition is not followed this year owing to COVID-19 and the push of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Taking into consideration, the government has decided to only share soft copies of the budget instead of paper budget, and they have gone paperless this year, right? They have gone paperless this year. The budget proposals for this financial year rest in 6 pillars. That is the health and well-being. That is the utmost priority of the government, of any government for that matter, in these challenging times of COVID-19, when this virus is mutating and the spread is not yet thoroughly checked. And physical and financial capital and infrastructure, inclusive development, aspirational India, and the human capital, about human capital, about R&D, and about government minimum government, maximum governance. That is always there. Okay, but that could only be possible if government starts playing a major developmental role instead of being a merchant. Entering into new ventures, new business. So that's why it is advised in public administration, in the subject of public administration, it is always told that government should not engage themselves in merchandise business. They should involve themselves in policy making roles. If you see the role of government of USA and for any developed country for that matter, you will find government is playing a more of policy making role than of business making. Okay, so that was the mistake that there was in the Indian economy. Okay, so that's why there is the things of what you can say, the disinvestment kind of thing comes into picture. The slew of hikes in the customs duty to benefit Makes in India proposal and disinvestment, 2 more PSBs, a general insurance company. See, they have not named it. It could be 2 or more than that, but initially it will be 2. They will be disinvesting PSBs. They will also be disinvesting in LIC, whereas it will be in the form of IPO. Public will be allowed to hold. Public will be allowed. So I think first live it should be Union Budget 21-22. Yes, because I run with less time, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Whatever mistake I have made in the printing, please ignore that one. That much of excuse that you can give to someone who is making so many efforts to bring things in a simplified manner. So please bear with me. Bear with me. Yes. So there is nothing extra in Zoom. Please don't worry today. Today I will be only presenting to you. You can put your questions in Zoom today and in YouTube as well. There are so many people watching us, so that's why we have made it in 2 platforms. So don't worry. So personal income tax slabs remain same this time. There is no change in tax slabs. Fiscal deficit stands at 9.5% of the GDP, and it is estimated to be 6.8% in the year 21-22. So in this year 2020, which is ending in 21 March 31st, the fiscal deficit stands at 9.5% owing to this COVID-19 outbreak, and next year it will be 6.8%. Okay. So government is now disinvesting. That is a big news for the bankers, those who are there. I was telling you that there is something in this budget about banking system. Yes, here it is. So RRB they have not mentioned because the committee is under its committee has not submitted its report. The committee is in work. People are called in, the stakeholders of RRBs are called for meeting to DFS. So things are under process. So you have to wait for that for a few days. Even in my first session, I told I only expect there is a simple announcement. Rest things will be done through an ordinance in next coming 2 years, 2 months. Okay. So things are going as it is. Things are working as planned as it is. I cannot reveal things, but I have been told to submit that proposal again, whatever I have prepared with any other materials. If I have I have submitted that one to DFS, that I was telling you again and again and again. So you have to wait and watch for that. Don't worry. Okay. So sleeve hikes in custom duty to be benefit in Make in India proposal to disinvestment, 2 more PSBs and general insurance company that I have already informed. So let's go to the next slide. Budget 21-22, fiscal year 2020 disinvest target is around 1.7 lakh crore. Privatization of BPCL shipping corporation to be done. Okay, the government budget 1.75 lakh crore from stake sale in public sector companies, financial institution, including 2 PSU banks and 1 more insurance company in the next financial year. Unveiling the PSE, Public Sector Enterprises Policy, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said, barring 4 strategic areas, public sector companies in other sectors will be divested. There will be no public limited company in non-strategic areas. So government will come up with a clear-cut instruction who will be there in strategic sector and who will not be in strategic sector. And as per our information, banks and financial institutions are going to be in strategic sectors, and they can hold maximum 4 units in a strategic sector. So this is something that paves the way for formation of holding company in RRBs. And the next point that I am going to come about the sick industries, loss making units of PSU, where it paves the way further for RRBs, consolidation of RRBs. Government cannot bear any profit loss making unit at this point of time. Government needs money. I will be telling you budget is of 2 types, please. So before that, yes, let me tell you what are the ways of RRB merger, that then I will be telling you what are the types of budget, etc. Okay, so sale of IDBI Bank, BPCL, Shipping Corporation, Container Corporation, Nilachal Ispat Nigam Limited. I think the maximum loss could be 500. And how come they will allow this 2,200 crore loss making RRBs to sustain? So please bear with me. My information never go wrong. If I have wrong information, I don't come online and announce them. Legislative amendments required for a LIC IPO that they are doing. See, LIC IPO is not a small thing. For that, they have to amend the legislation, because for decades, LIC is being world's #1 insurance company and one of the cash-rich companies of the world. So in order to divest or in order to allow IPO in it, they have to bring a legislation. So similarly, if they could bring legislation for LIC, there is no issue for bringing separate legislation for RRBs. So I still stick to my point. Revised mechanism for fast tracking closure of loss making PSUs would be worked out, and an incentive package would be developed to incentivize states to sell the stakes in PSUs. Remember, only problem where the RRBs were having that the 35%, sorry, the 15% stake, the state governments were not willing to park their 15% stake in RRBs. Okay, so that's why what happened? Now they are incentivizing the state government to divest their stake in PSUs. So there will be a clear-cut formula being formulated so that there will be no hurdle for a holding company to be formed for the RRBs or other loss-making units. So sometimes you have to read between the lines. You should have that much of ability. You should have that much of economic sense to read between lines. So this is what I want to present. So I have never gone wrong. People were trying to attack me from today morning that there is no mention of RRB. How could how your information has gone wrong? So I still stand with my point. Because of our detailed analysis, we can read between the lines. So that is what we present. And the last point said, the finance minister said Niti Aayog has been asked to work on next list of central public sector companies for strategic disinvestment. So RRBs are part of it, and the Niti Aayog has been advised to form a committee to work on the merger, consolidation, or next level reform in RRBs. We have never gone wrong. So this is what we want to present to you. So up to this point of time, I have been confirming my sources, my news, and the special mention about the budget. So now the time comes to tell you what is budget and what are the other things. So and some more points. Finance Minister has said the previous budget strategic raising 2.1 lakh crore from privatization and sale of minority stake in state-owned companies. This include 1.2 lakh crore selling stake in CPSEs, Central Public Sector Enterprises. So this is it. You can read it from our exclusive PDFs. So for that you have to subscribe and join us. They will be revising this MCA 21 version, that will be 3.0. MCA 21 is the website of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. In NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, there will be e-code system will be now allowed. Okay. So this was the point about disinvestment, etc. I have gone through. Now let's come about budget. What is budget, etc., and what are there in the budget? So see, budget are of more or 3-4 types. Let me tell you, there is deficit budget, there is balance budget, there is surplus budget. So in no country there is any surplus or balance budget. Surplus means when you will have no fiscal deficit, no budgetary deficit, but every country present budget with a budgetary deficit. So this budget is a deficit budget, like every other year's budget. So please, what is it? Sir, your speed is too much. Yes, my speed is too much today because I have not come to budget yet. I wanted to confirm things about RRB. So don't worry. I'm explaining them slowly. I'm coming to the budget. I have not yet came to budget. I was coming to the part of budget that dealt with privatization, that has dealt with RRBs, my sources, people who are attacking me, that I had to confirm. So now this comes to budget. Yes, don't worry. So what I was telling to many of you is budget is of the types of budget. Surplus budget, when your revenue is more than your expenditure. Balance budget, when your revenue and expenditure is same. That is a miracle to happen, and there is no time, no country have surplus budget. And zero-based budgeting, like what happens when your past year liability is zero. So that is also not going to happen. So this budget is a deficit budget, like every other year, like every other country. Okay. So there are two components of the budget. One is the revenue component and the other one is the capital component. What are the revenue? Revenues are the incomes that are being received from this domestic market inside the boundaries of India. What are the capital component of the budget? The capital component of the budget are the loans and the incomes that has been received from abroad. Okay. So what I was telling you, yes, I'm telling you, don't worry, I'm telling you, budget is, there is surplus budget when your expenditure is less than your income. When income is more, you are in surplus. So that is called surplus budget. But no country has presented surplus budget yet. Okay. And every year we face deficit budget. Why? Let me tell you, because government has so many liabilities, so many things to perform. Okay. So then comes balance budget. What is balance budget? In balance budget, the expenditure and the income remains the same. So that is a situation of equilibrium or a tie, like a test match, but that is not going to happen, right? Third thing is deficit budget. This one is a deficit budget when your expenditure is high, your income is little low. Getting it? Got it? Getting it? Yes, good evening all. So getting it? Are you getting it? And there is a zero-based budgeting system where your past year liabilities is zero. Your past year liabilities is zero, but that is also not in this case of budget. Okay, so normally the budget is a deficit budget. Getting it or not? Have you got it? Any doubt? Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? Various types of budget. Are you confirmed now? Can I go ahead? Okay, thank you. So there are two. Okay, there are two components of the budget. One is revenue budget, another is capital budget, right? One is revenue budget, the other one is the capital budget. What is the revenue budget? That is the income received from the domestic market, from the boundaries of this country. That is called the revenue budget. Capital budget is the money that has received from outside, abroad. What are the money that we receive from outside? That is the loans that we take from IMF, World Bank, companies working abroad, etc. And the incomes that is received from abroad, or the investments that we receive from abroad. So that is the capital budget. Okay. So in revenue, there are two types of revenue receipt: tax receipt and
Repeat, sir.
non-tax receipt. Yes. Someone is saying something. Someone is saying something. Yes. So in receipt, there are two types of revenue receipt. Let's come to revenue part: revenue expenditure and revenue receipt. First, budget is of two types. Clear? You can take a note of it. You can take a note of it. I couldn't. Please remain mute. There are so many people on Zoom, so please don't unmute. There are so many people, so I cannot go and mute again and again. Please. This disturbs. Please, you can come to YouTube as well. Please. So this is a very important class. Something is not in the list, so please note down. People, I have always recommended people to come with pen and paper, because on a flow, what comes from within, I don't know. Sometimes it is hard to make PPT of everything. Okay. So yes, capital budget one more time. Types of budget clear up to this point of time. You can write it down. If you have wrote it, please, you can see the recording anytime. So yes, inward remittances also. Yes. So please listen to me. What I was saying: types of budget of over, surplus, deficit, etc. Now two parts of the budget: revenue budget, and the other one is the capital budget. Getting it? Revenue budget is the income that is received from the within the country, and the capital, the amount that has come from outside, like the loans that we receive from IMF, International Monetary Fund, and World Bank. That is the revenue, that is the capital component of the budget. So first come to the revenue component, then I will go to the capital component. In the revenue component, there are two things: revenue expenditure and revenue income, or revenue receipt. Receipt is the income. Though there are a few ways to receive the revenue, and ways to spend it. So let me tell you what is the revenue receipt, what is the revenue income. Revenue income is of two types. The first one is tax revenue, other one is the non-tax revenue. That I have not mentioned. I have just analyzing the budget. But additional components, please remember, whatever comes from the flow, please write it down. So in tax revenue, there is direct tax and there is indirect tax. Direct tax is the income tax, corporate tax. Indirect tax is the tax that we pay in the form of GST, goods and service tax. So in non-tax revenue, what are the non-tax revenue for the government? What the dividends, the income that they have received from their public sector undertaking, that is the dividend, the profit that these BHEL, etc., these companies, the government banks, that they have done, is the dividend. Profit from government undertaking units, then the penalties they charge us, the fees they charge us, etc. Okay, the interest they get from the bonds that they have sought, etc., are called the non-tax receipt. What are the revenue expenditure? This is the part of revenue income. They may ask you in interviews, so please have a clear cut idea about things before we go to the budget. So why I wanted to tell you, they will ask you few things about budget. Maybe what is the number? So I don't go by numbers. I'm not a very good man to remember the numbers, because numbers are there for you to quote from the system. If human will start becoming calculators, then there is no use of the brain. We have developed a calculator. Let the figure part to be there in our calculators, in our Excel sheet. So but we have to understand the literature behind everything that I advocate. It is absolutely okay that if you forget few figures, but you don't know the things that are associated, the logics that are associated with few economic terms, then this is going to be very, very dangerous for your interview preparation, right? So what are the tax revenue? Sorry, tax revenue, non-tax revenue. Tax revenue is direct tax, indirect tax. Direct tax is the income tax and the corporate tax. Then comes the non-tax revenue. Non-tax revenue is interest income of the government, dividends that they have received from their business activities, like they have the public sector enterprises. So then comes the penalties, then comes the fee, etc. Okay, and the revenue expenditure, the salary that government is paying to its employees, the subsidies that you get in LPG, etc., the social schemes that government run, that what are the loan interest that government pays, that are the revenue expenditure. So what is the capital receipt? Now this is revenue part of the budget is ended, right? The revenue part of the budget has ended. Okay, components of budget, please tell again. Yes, I am already informed, so please listen to that again. You got it. Revenue and capital. Revenue part, revenue receipt, revenue expenditure, revenue receipt, tax receipt, non-tax receipt. Then revenue expenditure is in the form of salary, subsidy, expenditure. You can understand the expenditure government has to incur in social schemes, like they pay 5,000 as overdraft to every Jan Dhan account holder. That is part of the revenue expenditure as well. Then comes to the capital component of the budget. What is the capital component? That is the what are the capital receipts? What capital government has received? That is the loan from abroad, like IMF, like World Bank, Asian Development Bank, etc. That is the capital receipt. Plus the debt bonds, like PPF, SS, small saving scheme. You deposit some money in small saving scheme, you deposit your money in public provident fund. That is the capital receipt for the government. That is the capital receipt for the government. And the other one is the disinvestment. There is only broad three types of capital receipt for the government. So how come government can do away with disinvestment? The third component of it is disinvestment. Disinvestment is the stake sale in public sector companies. Okay, so yes, internal debt, not internal debt. Internal debts will be the expenditure. When they will pay interest, that will be expenditure. When they will receive money in forms of internal debt, that will be also called as capital receipt. Like when you deposit money in a bank, so it is a liability for that bank. So that means you are giving loan to the bank is taking loan from you. When you go and deposit 1,000 rupees in your savings account, you give a loan. Yes, I am coming to disinvestment. Everything is going to be used, asked in your interview. So please, this is a class that is going to help you in your throughout your life. I don't want to have any doubt things regarding economy and budget after this class. So what I was telling you, when you go and deposit rupees 1,000 in your savings account, so what it happens, you give a 1,000 rupees loan to that bank. Do you understand that? Your savings deposit of 1,000 rupees in a State Bank of India is that you giving a loan to State Bank of India. How cool that is. You are giving loan to a bank like State Bank of India. Similarly, when you deposit your money in a small savings scheme or a public provident fund, you give loan to Narendra Modi. So it's not that amazing, right? So this is it. So this is a capital receipt for the government. So that 1,000 rupees that you have deposited in your public provident fund account or Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana, if you have a girl child, but I have not started, but that is a loan to the government. That is a capital receipt for the government. Getting it? And disinvestment. What is disinvestment? Investment. What is investment? Investment is when you buy some shares of a company. When you invest in a company, that is called investment. When you put your hard-earned money into buying some stake of some company, that is called investment, right? So when you want to withdraw that amount from that company, that is called disinvestment. It is as simple as this. Investing is buying a share in a company. Disinvestment is selling your share in that company. Getting it? Selling. Will ask. It never happens in Shibu interview, sir. They ask questions on banking budget, but not definitions. So I think you have never been to bank interviews. I think you have never been to bank interviews. Your interviews are scheduled to happen in 12-15 days, and you can be asked anything about the budget, anything about disinvestment, anything about economy. So I think you have never been to a State Bank of India interview. So if you are think that nothing will, nice explanation. So thank you. Thank you. So who said? I am saying it. I am saying it. So even in bank interviews, they don't ask you the questions. Even in bank interviews, sometimes they don't ask you anything about banking. So that is a mere chance. If they have to ask you about banking, economy is a part of the syllabus of promotional exams. So people appearing for SBI CBO interview must remember they are appearing an interview of promotional exam type. So the economy is a major component of that. If you can exclude economy, it is at your risk. I cannot take any chance. I cannot take any chance with my students. So understanding economy as a banker is going to help you throughout your life, because what if you are reading for short-term purpose and if you think that these questions can be contemplated, that you are wrong. Don't take risk. I don't teach anything that is not of use. I don't put any slide, any point that is not of use. My team, which is full of senior bankers, I think you have seen them in the groups. See, they work hard on excluding things. We respect our time and your time as well. So please don't, I don't put anything useless. So
Just ignore them, sir.
yeah, okay, no issue. All of you are my student. Okay, I love to answer all of you, but don't worry. So yes, very confusing, but you have to write them, you have to understand them. Yes, it is, that's why I'm clearing them. That's why it is when clearing them. Okay, so I have been requested to start this session, so I don't start things all of sudden. Yeah, what I was telling you, what is disinvestment? Investment is when you buy stakes in companies, and disinvestment is when you start selling it. So government has already floated so many companies in the wake of our freedom, in the wake of the freedom that the India gained. So at that time, India was going through a very hard stage. Yes, liquidate your share is disinvestment. Right. You are right. Okay. So they may ask you, what about disinvestment? What is disinvestment? I have seen this question. So please understand, disinvestment is when you buy, sell, when you liquidate things, that is disinvestment. So, or when you sell your stake. But initially, why government has floated so many companies? Because at that time, these companies were running at a very bad pace. Private entities are at the verge of collapse. Even banks, private banks are at the verge of collapse. So government has to nationalize them. But in a big economy, there is no requirement of nationalizing banks. But it has compelled the government to buy the stakes in the banks, in private sectors, because they were at the verge of collapse. In the interest of the general public, stake has been bought by the government, or government has created the company. India was not that rich at that point of time that private investors will come out and start business like Jamshedji Tata has done, like Birla has done. So government has to start the business. It was with poor countries like India at that point of time. Those who have no manpower who could start, those who have no rich people within rich individual within the country, those who could start big business. And the environment in India was not good enough to start private investment. Why? Because it was newly got freedom, first thing. Second thing, India was a very poor country. There was malnutrition kind of issues, so there was so many challenges. And in the year 1992 only, the economy of India was liberalized. So prior to this, it was a closed economy. Prior to this, it was a closed economy. So government has to buy a lot of stake. Government has to buy a lot of stake or formulate company of its own. So this doesn't happen in a good economy. In a good economy, government don't compete with private entities. The fields that government is in, the private players are not allowed. And where there are private companies, Where there are private companies, government don't enter. Otherwise, things will happen like BSNL. If asked to justify government's step of disinvestment, what should be the answer? They will not ask you political questions. This is a complete political question that will be not asked. So it's up to government to take the decision. If it is government, I think government is capable enough to take decision in the public interest. So I don't have a big say on that. You are supposed to appear for scale 1, scale 2, scale 3 level interview. So your point on economy is not going to be used. Okay, so you can say I'm a small person to answer this type of questions. I feel myself very small, but only disinvestment things I know about disinvestment is this, but I don't know it is good, it is good for the country or not. But I only know that to match the deficit financing, government needs disinvestment. This much I know, but the impacts are too small to answer this tactical question. Okay, it's okay, it's completely okay. It's completely okay if you dock a political question, and political questions are not asked, be sure. Okay, so this is about disinvestment. Okay, let's go. So what I was telling you, the capital receipt, disinvestment, debt in form of bond, raising bond, PPF, and small saving scheme, and loans from abroad are capital receipt. What is capital expenditure? Revenue receipt, revenue expenditure has gone, capital income, capital receipt has gone. Now comes the capital expenditure. So what is capital expenditure? Capital expenditure is the money that government invests, government spends in infrastructure projects, that is like road, etc. Loan to the state governments are the capital expenditure. Getting it is am I clear up to this point of time? Am I clear up to this point of time? Is there still any question remains unanswered? Is there any question still remains unanswered? Can anyone tell?
No,
Okay.
sir. Clear.
Okay, clear. So let's move further. Any question? Any answer? Okay, all clear. Thank you. I hope all of you are enjoying my session. If you have not subscribed, not joined, kindly do so. Okay. So here is a clear-cut idea about disinvestment and strategic sale. What is strategic sale? Selling the stakes in a strategic manner wherever it is required in a phased manner is called strategic sale. Because if government will sell all the stake straight away, there will be a revolt. So government will do it in a strategic way. So that is whenever required, government will sell. So in LIC, they will sell the stake through IPO. Normally nowadays, stakes are being sold in IPOs or through follow-on public offers. Okay. So new policy for strategic investment is approved. So remember here, it will be used for consolidation of RRBs, etc. Niti Aayog is working out for disinvestment projects, incentivizing states for selling their stake, special purpose vehicle in the form of company to monetize the idle land, introduction to revised mechanism or ensuring timely closure of sick or loss-making units. So, okay. So trends of deficit. I think in my economic survey class, I spoke with you about deficit. Okay, so here I will be talking more about deficit, various types of deficit and deficit financing. Deficit and deficit financing, right? Yes, Nasreen, thank you. Fiscal deficit, yes, thank you. Thank you for your inputs. Okay. So let's go ahead. So here is a roadmap of deficit. Last year it was 2021. It was 9.5. This year, coming year in 21-22, which is estimated now 6.8. So this is the map of deficit. So if it is asked, the revenue deficit for last year is 2.7. This year 7.5. It is going to be 5.1. Fiscal deficit this year is 3.5. Last year is 3.5, this year is 9.5, and in coming year it is going to be 6.8. So similarly,
the table is not visible. The table clearly not there.
You are not clearly getting deficit, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to come to deficit. I'm going to tell you about deficit. Don't worry. So One is fiscal deficit. Here it is in the top of the chart. This is fiscal deficit. So can you tell me what is fiscal deficit? I told in last class that is total expenditure minus the revenue receipt. The total expenditure of the government and the revenue receipt. Okay, some of you tell that revenue expenditure capital. Yeah. So Nasrin, you are absolutely right. I have told revenue, she has told revenue expenditure plus capital expenditure. I have made it total expenditure. Total expenditure is of two parts, revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. So I have made it total expenditure. Total expenditure of the government minus revenue receipt, minus revenue receipt. Getting it? What is the revenue receipt for the government? I have just told you. Tax receipt, non-tax receipt. So this is fiscal deficit. Okay, clear up to this point of time? Is fiscal deficit clear? Total expenditure of the government minus revenue receipt is the fiscal deficit. Okay. Yes, that yes, this is the first point. Second one is primary deficit. What is primary deficit? Fiscal deficit, the total fiscal deficit that we have arrived from the earlier mentioned formula, and minus the interest that government has to pay the loans that government borrowed, on the loans that the government has borrowed. Getting it? The loans that government has borrowed. Clear? Primary deficit is fiscal deficit plus the interest. Fiscal deficit plus, this is not minus, fiscal deficit plus the interest that government has to pay on the loans that government received. The loans that government received. Where government receives the loan? Where government?
Reason means advances from RBI,
yes.
IMF, or from IMF or World Bank.
Yes. Thank you. You people are engaging. I feel it is going to be more helpful to you. What is the budgetary deficit then? Budgetary deficit.
Total expenditure minus total revenue.
Yeah, total revenue, total receipt. Okay. Then the revenue deficit comes into picture. Revenue deficit is nothing but revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt. See, deficit is obvious. There is clear-cut idea we have got that deficit is going to happen. So we are talking about deficit. So we don't need to deduct income, to do income minus expenditure, because when there is a deficit, we are talking about deficit. So it is obvious that the expenditure is at higher side. Okay, the expenditure is at higher side. So we deduct income from the expenditure when we talk about deficit. Remember it. Okay, so if it is asked to you in interviews or in exams, what is fiscal deficit, now you can answer it. So what is the difference between fiscal deficit and revenue receipt? Please note down in a paper, you can find it out. In fiscal deficit, that is total expenditure minus revenue receipt, and in revenue deficit, it is revenue expenditure minus revenue receipt. Getting it? Okay, so this is it. So this is the math. You just can remember the fiscal deficit for this year is 9.5. Government has always a plan to reduce the fiscal deficit. So if there will be high fiscal deficit, so what government has to do? Government has to arrange deficit financing. Okay. So yes, it is deficit financing. What is deficit financing? The sources where you can manage your deficit. See, what you have to do in budget, you have to balance that one, your income and your expenditure. If you have earned ₹1, then if you can arrange ₹1, then you can expense ₹1. So similarly, if you are getting 10,000 salary, remember, if you are getting 10,000 salary, let me tell you about deficit financing in a simplified manner. You are getting a salary of ₹10,000, right? But you have your house rent of 3,000, you have your study expense of 5,000, you have your travel expense of 2,000. So similarly, total expenditure for this month comes 12,000. So what will you do? You will borrow ₹2,000 from your friends, right? So at least you have to borrow 2,000 rupees for your friend. This month you got 10,000 rupees, but your expenditure for this month comes 12,000 rupees. Either you will arrange from your savings, or you will ask your friend to give you 2,000 rupees, or your parents to give you 2,000 rupees, or by any source you will arrange 2,000 rupees, or you will steal rupees 2,000, right? Because you have to meet your expenditure. So similarly, that 2,000 rupees arrangement is called deficit financing. Am I clear? That arrangement of rupees 2,000 is called deficit financing. Yes, fiscal deficit impact the economy. Why fiscal deficit is the shortfall? So fiscal deficit, for fiscal deficit, government has to arrange money. If government has to arrange more money, they have to pay more interest. If they have to pay more interest, so they have to tax you more. So they have to tax you more. So in this way, it impacts. It impacts. They will have to roll out more GST. They have to increase the GST slab. So think before asking. You think the logic. If you don't find, then only ask. So whatever logic you are putting, I have to answer them. So don't worry. So this is the deficit financing. Is it a good example of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the 2,000 rupees arrangement is deficit financing. So whatever shortfall government has received in the form of fiscal deficit, government has to arrange the rest money. So what are the avenues of deficit financing? What are the avenues of deficit financing? It is market borrowings. Government has to borrow, like you have to borrow. Securities against small savings, right? Government has to sell securities. State provident fund, the money that you people have invested in state provident fund, government will utilize that one. Other receipts like internal debt or the public amount, external debt, so external loans from IMF, World Bank, etc. Drawdown of cash balance. Okay, so in cash balance it will be drawing from their cash balance. That is like your saving. You if your expenditure is 12,000 this month, so you will break your FD, right? You will break your FD, right? So here is the answer you got. Sources of deficit financing is borrowing from internal and external sources, and also it includes printing of new currency. But printing of new currency is never a good way of deficit financing. Why? Why it is not a good measure of deficit financing?
It will
Printing of
create inflation in the economy.
right. So I think all of you are getting a good sense of budget and the economy for that matter, right? Yes, it will lose the value of money. Yes, good answer. Fiscal deficit, I have told you. We are now talking about deficit financing. Fiscal deficit, what I told you is, fiscal deficit, I told you, total expenditure minus revenue receipt. And deficit financing is in whatever deficit government occurs in budget. What they will have to do, they have to arrange the money. Like if your expenditure for a month exceeds your income, you have to arrange it from your friends. You have to break down your FD. You have to steal money. You have to ask your friends to deposit some amount. So similarly, it is similarly the deficit financing is for the government has to arrange this money from internal or external sources. So you can say external commercial borrowing, ECB, is a part of deficit financing. It is another avenue of deficit financing. What is external commercial borrowing? ECB, external commercial borrowing. Okay, so total expenditure includes revenue expenditure and the capital expenditure, remember. So with the sources that is clearly mentioned over here in the PPT: market borrowings, securities against small savings, state provident funds, etc. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So I think we missed the previous one. Trend in tax receipt. So it's on the basis of GDP, percentage of GDP. What is GDP? Can anyone tell me what is GDP? What is GDP?
It is the total income received from within India.
Yeah, 1%.
It is a domestic production.
So people, those who are watching us in YouTube, in live chat, your queries are being answered from our banking and economy professionals. So you can check your answers in the chat nowadays. Okay, So we are improving day by day. We are including team of experts day by day to our channel. So this has only happened with your love and support. Please share and subscribe. This is one of the most valuable budget YouTube video. After this class ends, we will make it public. So please share more and more in number, so that we get our due number of subscribers. Okay, so now with all your support, we are now adding more professionals in your team, so that all your queries are nowadays being resolved by our thorough professionals. Okay, so GDP is the goods and the services that is produced within the territory of a country within a financial year. This is called gross domestic product. Getting it? If it is asked what is GDP, what is gross domestic product, you can say that goods and services produced within the territory of a country, within the territory of a country within a financial year is called the GDP. Right? And sometimes they also ask you GNP, GDP plus the net income from abroad. Remember, GDP plus the net income from abroad. Okay, gross national product. What is net income from abroad? Few foreigners are residing in India. They are earning India, and they are sending the money back to their country. Like Indians were working in Gulf nations, working in Arab nations, working in USA, working throughout the world, and sending so much of money to India. Like that has happened in the times of Kerala flood. Kerala flood. Many people residing in Arab nation were started sending money back to India. So the problems of Keralites were resolved at that point of time. So that is when if they have sent total rupees 100 from outside, and the foreign nationals earning from India has sent rupees 50 abroad, then the net income from abroad remains rupees 50. So this 50 is added to the GDP, is called gross national product. Getting it? Are you clear about GDP and GNP? GDP is a very common thing, but sometimes nowadays they ask about GNP. So please remember, GDP plus net income from abroad is called gross national income. Okay, gross national product. So net income from abroad is the income that we have received from abroad minus the income, the outflow through the foreign nationals working here. Okay, gross domestic product means, let me tell you once again, gross domestic product means goods and services produced within the territory of India, this is the mainland India, the Andaman Nicobar and the Lakshadweep, the territory India. Gross domestic product, product and services, goods and services produced within the country, within the territory of India, within a fiscal year, within a financial year, is called gross domestic product. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is gross domestic product. So net, and then what is gross national product? Is it GDP plus net income from abroad. Okay, so yesterday class someone was asking me balance of payment. Balance of payment is nothing but is a record of the transactions between abroad and India. This is the balance of payment. This is the balance of payment, like the record of our transaction with the rest of country, like, right? Record of the transaction with rest of the country is balance of payment. And this, in balance of payment, there are two things. One is the current account, another is the capital account. Current account is the inflow, capital account is the outflow. Current account is the inflow and capital account is the outflow. And there is a thing about current account deficit. Current account deficit is nothing but the mismatch between import and export. Current account deficit is import minus export. So this time we are in surplus because we have to import less and export more owing to COVID-19 outbreak. So please explain abroad net income. Abroad net income is the NRIs, the people that are staying abroad, sending the income to India, minus the foreign nationals staying in India and sending back the money that they have earned from India. Okay, so because so many Indians are working outside, so it is always in surplus. Getting it? Getting it? Okay, so and let's come to the budget part. I will be, I think, hope so many budgetary things have been now confirmed. Now you can look into the slides. So resource transfer to state and duties. There is a government can there is allocation of funds. Government allocates money to state governments. Okay. So yes, BOP is the record of the financial transactions between India and rest of the world. That is what we have mentioned. Our backend has also provided you the same reply in your chat. In the chat, you can also read that. Okay, your queries are being resolved by economists in our group. Elite member of economists are there, so don't worry. So your live chat answers are being answered in the chat itself by economists, and rest I am taking care of it. Okay, so we are prospering day by day with the help, and tomorrow the words of chairman sir of Karnataka Gramin Bank has emboldened our thoughts to bring to make this channel more glorious. So we are living up to the expectations of people like the cadre of chairman. So we are extremely grateful that he has appreciated the way of our teaching. So thank you, friends. So let's go ahead. This is the resource that has been transferred to the states and union territories. I think you know that the government, whatever revenue that they receive, they has to allocate the amount to the states as well. Okay, that is the disinvestment. The financial capital in financial market, what are the changes? Single securities market code is to be introduced. That is by consolidation of the SEBI Act 1992, Depository Act 1996, Securities Contracts Act, Securities Contracts Act, and 1956, and Government Securities Act 2007. Like I have told yesterday in my IBC class, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code class, that the code is a combination of the acts. Okay, it summarizes all the overlapping acts passed prior to this. So similarly, there will be a single code for securities market because there are so many overlapping rules. So government is nowadays working more on simplifying things. Development of world-class fintech hub in GIFT IFSC. I think all of you know GIFT IFSC is in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Okay, so a permanent institutional framework to be created to purchase investment grade debt securities, both stressed and normal times. These are not going to help you a lot. Whatever will help you, I will be reading out. Rest you will find out in the PDF. So for PDF, please join us, and all subscribed students will get it from our application. So and will be shared in the respective groups as well. And there is an investment charter for the investment protection. Direct tax, it's the most talked thing about budget. Why many Indian watch the budget? So because there is a talk about income tax, direct tax, and it impacts the pocket of taxpayers. Hence many people watch this budget in a keen interest that this time they will get the tax relief. But there is a bit of disappointment, but nothing to worry. People are losing job at this point of time. If you are still a taxpayer, that it's a matter of glory for all of you. So there is nothing to worry. The return filers, the exemption from filing income tax returns for senior citizens who have only the pension and interest income is now the senior citizens has no issue for filing the tax. They can take rest now. They cannot. There is no need of filing the tax. This is a thing that you must remember. The return filers is now growing up day by day. Establishment of National Faceless Income Tax Appellate Tribunal Center will be created. Reduction in time limit of reopening of assessment to 3 years from present 6 years. So the assessment will be now reopened only for 3 years of earlier 6 years. Okay, so well-being of the citizens are the utmost priority. Senior citizens are the citizens above 60 years, not 75 years. Okay. So health and well-being of expenditure, this is going to be one of the key areas where government has to increase their expenditure owing to COVID-19 outbreak. Okay, so yes, and what is the budget? This picture is all about budget. Remember, when we talk about budget, in simple words, we talk about where rupee 1 comes from and where it is invested, where the rupees 1 comes and it is invested. If you see the newspapers, tomorrow newspapers, you will see there will be the 1 rupee coin divided into few parts. The same thing is done by the PIB and we have quoted it. That is, this is the essence of the budget, where rupees 1 comes from the government, and where rupees 1 is going. This is the budget. So this picture is all about the budget, where the rupee 1 is coming. Borrowing and other liabilities of the government is 36 paisa. Corporate tax is 13 paisa. Income tax is 14 paisa. Customs is 33 paisa. Union excise duties is 8 paisa. Okay, this is the percentage. In other words, you can say these are the percentage. Non-tax revenue, we have discussed about it. We have discussed earlier about it. Non-tax revenue. Okay. So then non-debt capital receipt, that is 5 paisa. Where this money is being spent, where this 1 rupee is going, it is going in central sponsored scheme in 9 paisa, central sector schemes 13 paisa, interest payments 20 paisa, defense 8 paisa, subsidies 9 paisa, etc. Okay, other expenditure 10 paisa. This is the essence. What is budget? Where rupees 1 comes from and where it is, where you spend that rupee 1. Okay. So that is nothing but the budget. Okay, what is the union budget and claims? This is, you don't need to remember a lot. Okay, what deficit financing, you must remember that I have told you. Fiscal deficit stands 9.5 this year and expected to be at 6.8 coming financial year. Okay, and it is about vaccines. I know you are worried about it. So this is the provision of rupees 35,000 crore is for COVID-19 vaccine. This is a upcoming MCQ question, you must remember it. Increase 137% of budget outlay. So urban infrastructure, new schemes of rupees 1,000 crore for augmentation of public bus transport service, because they have to make the environment clean. So they will be focusing more on public transports. New technology like Metro Light, Metro Neo to be provided in the sectors of Metro Rail. Central counterpart funding will be provided in Kochi Metro Railways, etc. Here comes the universal coverage of water supply. This is you need to remember. We will clear it in few minutes. So textile, they have done so many things about textile. That called is Mitra. The textile mega investment textile park is Mitra. In alternatively, every 4-5 years they have to reboost the textile sector, because it's one of the major contributor of our GDP. So once in every 5 years there is a special mention about textile sector. Okay. So skilling India, this is very much important. We have so many young youth there in India. So in order to skill them, there are so many initiatives government has taken. That is like National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, and in partnership with UAE, there is a benchmark skill qualification is being done. Inter-training program is also being formed. Roads and highways are the main source of government's budget. So this is the next. Okay, so this all you will be read, but for interview you just needed this point of time, whatever we have discussed about budget, this is important. But figures are very less number of times, exact figures are being asked, so we'll not emphasize more on that. We'll just look into the highlights. So in railway infrastructure, National Rail Plan India 2030 to create future ready railway system by 2030. And in power infrastructure, a comprehensive national hydrogen energy mission, a framework to provide various alternative to consumer choose distribution company, etc. to be formed. Ports, shipping and waterways are not required for the bankers. Migrant worker and laborers, there have to be scheme because there is a dislocation of laborers due to COVID-19. And labor welfare, they will be putting pressure. And innovation and R&D is the main focus of this government after the announcement of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay, so national infrastructure pipeline has to be created. So this is it. The clean air, that is all cleaner air. This is always a policy for this government. Okay, to tackle air pollution, 2,270 crore for 42 urban centers with million plus population is provided. I think the world has increasingly feeling the pressure of polluted air, because infants are dying. Infants are dying due to the pollution in air, and so much of health hazards are nowadays being observed due to pollution. So government, like every other country, like after Joe Biden has sworn in as the president of India, the first president of USA, so his first plan is to create a carbon or emission free USA. So similarly, countries are nowadays focusing more on the air pollution, carbon free nation. Okay, so that we will be talking in our upcoming classes. In agriculture, Swamitwa scheme to be extended to all UTs. Operational green scheme is extended to 22 perishable products. 1,000 more mandis are to be integrated with ENAM. ENAM is always asked in interview. ENAM, JAM is always asked in interview. ENAM is National Agricultural Market.
National Agriculture.
Yes. E means electronic. When there is a small e used, it is always for electronic, right? So agricultural infrastructure funds to APMCs for augmenting infrastructure facilities, etc. And this is the stats. I don't go by stats. It is not that much of requirement. And Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana after this COVID-19 outbreak. Okay, so this much is there in our special class of what you say, budget session. Hope it is useful to all of you. I would like you to request to share and subscribe. We will be making this public after this class ends, because it's a budget session. So we should allow public to watch it, but interaction, everything is only for our students.
For the interview.
Yes. Please go ahead with your question.
How many candidates shortlisted for the interview?
In which exam?
CBO.
Around 7,500.
7,500.
And most of them are our subscribers, viewers, or enrolled students. And I think 98% or 99%, not 98, around 95 or 98% students of ours got selected. There is hardly any who didn't get the selection, who have joined in our program, because this channel has started with the mission of SBI CBO. So those who got selected, those who have subscribed or stayed with us got selected. Most of them got selected, and I'm very much happy for that. Okay, it will be released very soon, so don't worry. So please do share and subscribe, and we thank you for your love. And a few people has disliked, and the number is very less too, but I would love to be disliked by many. It's okay if you dislike, there is no issue. I would love to be liked by people like Chairman Sir, General Manager Sir, and so many of such cadre. So I am happy with that. I don't mind if I will be disliked by few, because the way people are pouring their love and support towards us, very useful class. Thank you. It's incredible, and I don't think that no other platform has grown so much in 5 months. I think you have seen in my backend, I have added an economist to answer these questions. When I was with you, my economist who was let me introduce Ms. Pujajoti was today handling all the economic queries, all the economic answers. She is MSc MPhil in economics, so she was handling it. And yesterday, most of the answers were given by Prithvi sir of State Bank of India in our group. So the way people are joining us is really incredible. So he is now with only 2 or 3 of our SBI CBO batch. He will be joining in coming days in all other groups. So hope you people are utilizing these resources. So thank you for your love and support. I think I was not well today. Let me tell you, I was not well today. A good for knowledge as a banker. Thank you, Bharat. I was not at all good today, but the love to teach has enabled me to take this class. I think I was not less with my energy. I was not less with my energy today, but I was not at all okay today. PDF of the budget will be available very soon, very soon. Allow me few minutes. Let me take a break. I was not at all well today. I was not at all well today. This is with the support and help from the economist and so many of people. We have brought this material to you, and I thank all of them who have joined us from the back end. Nasreen, who was the one to start, Nasreen Sultana, one of my SBI, CBO, PNBSO, BOISO student who qualified all the exams, has helped me to send the inputs because I was not in a state of mind to watch the television about the I was having severe headache from morning and feeling feverish from last night class. Thank you, sir. Very useful. That is the law I got. Please share
Kindly
today's.
take care of your health, sir.
Yes, I am taking care of it. Don't worry. So please share it in everywhere so that I want this budget class to be reaching more number of students. So thank you, friends, for joining me in. Thank you.